Hey, this is Bobby Holland with Bipper Media, and you are listening to SEO Secrets. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Startup to Success. We're super excited because this is our first episode in the year 2025, and we're excited to dive into the topic we're going to talk about. But I'm Bobby from Bipper Media.
Matt DiPalma.
And today we're going to talk about, since it's the beginning of the new year, we thought it would be a great idea to talk about goals, setting goals, how to set goals, achieving goals. As you look at the year 2025, what's coming up, hopefully this will help you set goals in your business. Matt, does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like an excellent plan. Happy New Year. Good to see you, buddy.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Hope the holidays were well.
They were. We traveled, went to Wisconsin, saw a little bit of snow, a lot of cold.
Yeah.
How about you?
We went to Montana. We saw a lot of snow.
A lot of snow.
A lot of snow. It was very, very good. Got to spend some time with my family. Got to see some people from out of town, which was really nice. Take a little breather from working all the time. But yeah, it was great. It was really, really good times.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, as Matt knows, Matt's been in business longer than I have. As long as I've been in business, I know definitively we don't just wake up every day and just randomly, let's see how the wind moves us today and through the year and whatnot. We have goals. And when it comes to setting goals, I've had to evolve and get much better at it as our team has grown. We've gotten much more concise, much more definitive in setting goals. The way I look at goals and approach them, I look at short and long-term goals, or you could say even short, medium, and long-term goals. But Matt, when you think of setting goals for your businesses, what's kind of the first thoughts that you have?
Well, I think, now that we've grown so much and everything, you were always worried about this week, next week and all. And now when you get to a certain point in your business, I feel like you have to set goals for longer terms. Like I was saying, like I've said before, is that today is over. You need to be thinking, where are we going to be a month, 6 months, a year? What are we trying to achieve in those goals over that time period, and setting them and discussing it with your team overall so that everybody's all on the same page and getting feedback from them. A lot of times we won't achieve them all the way, but what I have found is by talking about your goals and trying to come out, especially the beginning of the new year and everything like we are right now, that you get better feedback and from your team and colleagues and all, even friends and stuff when you're talking about stuff, trying to achieve stuff. So we're not worried about what today is. When you get going, I feel like after you've established your business, the phone's going to ring, but you want to make the phone ring more. You want to grow your top line. You want to increase the bottom line. This is the time of the year when we take a lot of time to look at all those things and say, okay, we spent so much money on this last year, or we didn't spend so much money there, or how come we did do these things, and look into those things a little bit closer. And taking the first January, the first month of the year, and looking at those things, I feel is really beneficial, and my team feels like it's much more beneficial to look at those things. And it's something where I go back and look at those things, and then I bring that up to them and say, hey, we just had a conversation as simple as rain suits for one of my companies. We buy a lot of rain suits because we work outdoors. And I asked, why did we go through so many rain suits? And they were like, well, they rip or this or that, and the straps aren't so good. Okay, so maybe if we spend a little bit more money or we change the product, let's test drive some new products and see how that works. And actually we bought some and already have gotten some really positive feedback within the first 14 days of the year of, man, these are so much better. Wow. And we found out that we were saving like $10 a suit. Last year we bought like 90 suits.
Yeah.
That's a lot of suits. That's a lot of rain suits.
Yeah.
Especially that they're just using them one time and they throw them away. But if you take that little thing and you implement it into all the different things that you're doing, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I think it does help. And then for us as a business owner, for me, it's looking at how do we grow the company even larger and let my team take on those other smaller responsibilities and then try to grow us larger. So, we made some goals last year, making some new goals this year. And, some of the goals last year, they didn't pan out. Maybe they didn't come all the way, and that turned into some failures that you learn from the failure, and then you keep going. You got to keep going. Right.
Yep. And I really like what you said, our team. Mm-hmm. I've learned, when Bipper Media first started, it was just me. I was everything. And as the team grew, when you're thinking about setting goals for your business, right? Maybe you're just starting, it's just you. When it was just me, well, it wasn't really technically just me. I had my wife or I had friends. So you have people that you can take your goals that you're thinking about with your new business and get their feedback. And that'll be extremely valuable feedback because this will be people from the outside looking in, right? So you're never just on an island by yourself. But Matt, like what you were saying with your businesses, more established, you now have management, you have managers, you have employees. So now when you set goals, and that just really stood out to me when you were talking, you were saying the goals that we talk about and that we set as a team, because I think that's important, because now your team members, your managers, your employees, they're now feeling vested. They're now feeling like it's not just Matt setting a goal.
Right.
It's like we're collectively. So you know what I mean?
Well, they just feel like they're. I guess the way I would put it is that somebody said yesterday, little situation in the company, and somebody said, well, it's not costing you any more money. I said, stop. It's not about me. It's about the company. If the company does better, then we all do better. If the company does better, then we're able to give raises. We're able to buy more equipment. We're able to give you those things that the company's able to afford to do those things. And that really changes the mindset of your team completely. Yeah. I mean, 100%. I walked into one of my offices the other day, and the computer was making a funny noise just 2 weeks ago. And I said, what's going on with the computer? She said, it's been kind of making that noise. I said, go down the other end of the building, tell so-and-so, tell them to order you a new machine. And that person in my team was just so ecstatic, like, what? I said, hey, if it's messing up, let's get you a new one. I want you to be productive. I want you to be happy. But you have to focus on those things, because you're only as good as your people, especially when you start to grow and everything, because we don't have time. You and I don't have time anymore to be bogged down with that little stuff. And if you bog yourself down with that little stuff when you start to grow, you're going to end up failing faster than you realize, because you're not letting go. And that's a problem that Bobby and I both have had over the years, is letting go of what we do day in and day out. Because in the beginning, it was just us. What he was doing, what I was doing for my companies, it all fell on me, or it all fell on Bobby for his companies. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to bounce the ideas off your team, to let your team know what you're thinking when it comes to how the company is going to grow. How did the company do last year compared to the year before? Where did we have some failures? Where did we have some great successes? And make sure you talk about the successes too. Yeah. Because everybody's always negative Nelly, but I call it, let's talk about the good things. What did we do last year? We did these things that were really good. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, these are the things that we still need to work on. Yeah. And we always need to be working on things, including me as a business owner. I feel like I have to be working and being more focused all the time, because, again, we get complacent. Yeah. So when it comes to setting goals, thinking about time frames, like trajectory, thinking out into the future, I know that with me, I will set short-term goals, call it a month, a year. I would say anything out to a year is what I would define more as short-term goals. But I also have long-term goals, where I have goals going out to 5 years, 10 years. I even have goals that, I think about these things. What about if it's 20 or 30 or 50 years from now? To the bucket list.
The bucket list. What happens when I'm not even here?
Right.
Well, I have kids.
Right.
And we have a team of people, and they have kids. So, I think about these things, right? So when I say long-term goals, I can get very long, like multi-generational type thinking. But at a more tangible level, short-term, I would define as more like the 1 year, long-term, more realistically, the 5 year to 10 year level. How do you think about that approach?
I think that's pretty much standard for everybody. I mean, I have long-term goals, just like you do. I have, ideas of where I want to be 5, 10 years, and I think you and I both have talked about this. If somebody told us back in the day, well, you're going to be at this point at that age, you would have said, no way. And then it just happened and everything. But that didn't just happen on its own. It's because we worked so hard, because we did stay on top of our game, because we did set those goals and kept on pushing even when we got pushed back or had a failure or things like that. I mean, we've talked in the past of some of our ups and downs and how we've grown from those things. So I think right now it's like, for me, is like I'm always trying to be, for the company wise, is we have 6 months goals. We have like what's going on this month. Right now we're making some goals for this year. We're taking one of my companies, basically I would say, into the 21st century with new software. And we made a deal with a company at the very end of last year. And now my team is working on taking all of our information and getting it into this new software. But that new software is going to revolutionize one of my companies for efficiencies and all kinds of things, to the point that one of my team members came to me and said, when you implement this, you're going to have to find something else for me to do, because this one software is going to take the place of 3 people's jobs.
Right.
And I said, well, we're not going to lay anybody off or anything. We're just going to have more time to do other things to promote the company and be more professional. So we try to do goals like that. And then for me, it's like, where are we going to be, and every company is different. So my businesses, some of my businesses are more seasonal because I'm in multiple businesses. Some of them are more right here, right now, today. Some of them are, all right, by the end of the year, what are we trying to achieve and what can we see? Now, you can set all those goals you want, but you're not sure that they're going to always come true.
Right.
I mean, that's how I feel about it on a regular basis. But remembering the goals and keeping the goals in front of your team and yourself on a consistent basis and giving them headway. Just like the software thing. At one point, I would have been the person to say, hey, I'm going to do all this. And I literally turned to one of my team members, one of my head girls in my office, and I said, this is your baby. You are so good at what you do. Mm-hmm. You are in charge of it. I just want a weekly update about it and everything. And she's really doing a fantastic job. She's really, just like having Zoom meetings left and right and everything that, and then, it's really, really exciting. You know how it is when you're going to do something new with your company and get even better, you just get excited. You get giddy about it.
Especially when you see it start to work.
Right. Yeah. And everybody's excited. And there's going to be some learning curves for employees and things like that. But, it's just the way it is. But just like back to the phone book to advertising and using Bipper media and all, you gotta go with the changes. Yeah. You got to get moving and all. So, goals are so important. So that's like one of my big goals this year, is to get us better with our softwares and efficiencies. And we actually took some steps back and did some house cleaning of our own facilities and things of that. We're so busy taking care of clients all the time, we don't ever stop and look at our own offices and say, wow, the computer was messing up. Why didn't somebody just order a computer? Right. We needed some new office chairs. Let's order the office chairs. Right. We can afford to do these things now and all. And those things make a difference to people. Yeah. A good office chair for people that sit at desks all day long, you can't. It's everything. We let them pick their own office chairs and gave them an allowance. You can pick whatever you want from this catalog, whatever you like. Knock yourself out. Oh, wow. It's like Christmas came early to everybody. Yeah. It was so good. So, I think awesome. goals are very, very crucial and everything. What kind of goals do you set for this year? Yeah,
so one tangible goal, and Kalina, you can't see her. She's behind the scene making all this happen. Kalina is great about when it's our team setting goals, writing things down. Mm-hmm. I even tell my kids, like when we start talking about 2025 as we're coming in 2024, what are your goals we're talking about? I ask them, like, those are great. Do you have them written down? Right. So that's something that is a big deal that we do, because at the end of the year, which we did at the end of 2024, we can look at them and start assessing how did we do. So one tangible goal that we set 2024 that we actually met, because like you said, you don't meet them all, but anyone who knows Bipper Media, we do website design, SEO. It's not like buying sunglasses off Amazon, right? Like, here's the 3 colors, which one do you buy? It requires like strategy calls and like ongoing conversations. One of our goals was, how can we make a product that people can actually buy from our site without talking to anybody? That was a goal. Actually, that's been a goal for probably the better part of 10 years, right? It's just been an elusive thing. Like, I have no idea, like, how do we do it? And we've tried many, many, many times, many iterations, right? Last year, our business listing, right? Our site is now kind of morphed into a very large directory. Once that started building up traction, we created a business listing. Very simple thing. $150. It's a one-time fee. Fill out this form and your business gets added to our business listing. And you get SEO benefits like citations and do follow backlinks. Anyway, we launched that. And then all of a sudden, while we're sleeping, we're waking up the next morning and boom, people are buying. People are signing up and selling. So that's a tangible example of really, it's been a long-term goal, but we finally figured out last year a tangible product to like kind of plug into that goal. And then in 2024, we've now met that goal.
Yeah, I think being able to buy stuff on the web, we're seeing that too. Even any kind of service or anything like that, people really don't. They want to have an idea, and sometimes you can't get that, whatever you're selling to the specific price. One of my companies is that way, so they had to fill out a little questionnaire, but they don't want to have a phone call. They want to have an email back, or we're asking, do you like text or do you want email response? And they're questioning that, and your company has helped us with that tremendously and all in the last year, especially. Finding those kinds of things is really cool, and when you start to see it work like you're seeing and all, and that's something I just have to do. A side note is that I'm starting another company, and to find out that these website domain names have gotten really crazy expensive.
Oh yeah.
Like I had no idea until just recently. Just trying to lock down a .com of a certain kind. People buy these things and hold them, and then they auction them off.
Oh yeah. It's a whole market.
It's
a $1 billion market.
It's unbelievable.
Or more.
It was unbelievable
Yeah.
working with your company and Peter and your team, and he was like, if you want to spend $5,000, you can own this domain name. And I thought, $5,000
for that happened to the 99-cent?
Yeah, what happened to that? What happened to? I just came up with that and everything, and have a nice day. But these are the things that you don't think about when you're building a business at all. And I'm learning even to this day, even being in business almost 30 years for myself, that there's always something new out there that's something you didn't expect and all. Yeah. So I didn't mean to get off track there, but it was just it's something to think about there. That was just like, and the internet is everything now. I mean, it is everything everywhere for everyone and all, and trying to set different goals. And our big thing this year is definitely advertising more and branding one of our companies, spending more time on that and not focusing on what we do, trying to make it where we're doing a big billboard campaign, we're doing a lot of social media campaigns, but we're finding more traction from the stuff that's funny, that doesn't even have to do with the company. It's not like, it doesn't have to do with, as for our trash company, it doesn't have to do with taking out the trash. It has to do with just a funny meme or a funny reel or something. But this is the world we live in. Yeah. And we've seen people we've had some that have had 100 shares. Yeah. So if somebody is sharing your stuff, so if you understand how that works, if somebody's sharing your stuff, that means they're sending it to a friend. If they're sending it to a friend, then the algorithm in the internet is picking you up even more and more, and it's sending it out more.
And it's all free.
And it's all free, right? It didn't cost me a penny other than making the reels and things like that. Yeah. So, that's one of my biggest goals, is really to brand one of my companies. I did that with one of my other companies. It went very well over the last couple of years. But this other company, I'm really trying to really drive it home. We're on our second year of a billboard campaign, and it's really starting to pay off, I think. Yeah. Starting to get feedback from people just walking down the street that run into them and like, oh, hey, saw your board, man. That was really good. That was really funny. Yeah. Well,
I'm a little biased because I know we work together, but I see your boards. They do look amazing. Yeah. And, so we're excited for you.
Yeah, and I see this Bip stuff. I see your Bip thing coming up more and more. Yeah. On the Instagrams and on the reels and different places, and even in the Facebook place and stuff like that. So, some of the goals that you guys have said and the goals I've set obviously are starting to pay off, but you also have to remember, sometimes those goals don't pay off right away. You think, like I thought last year when I spent all this money on a billboard campaign, man, the phone was just going to go berserk and people were just going to call. it really took it took longer than I really expected.
Yeah.
But now, after a full year and going into the second year of it, and having redundancy, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
It's like what you preach to me all the time: is you got to be constantly looking at the website. You got to be constantly looking at the backside of it.
Yeah.
And again, those are all goals that we kind of then we forget about it. But also remembering that a goal doesn't always come true overnight.
Right.
Whatsoever.
No, it takes time, and with goals, a couple other points I was thinking about as you were talking is when I think about goals, I even tell our team all the time, when we get thinking about goal setting, I always use the term getting out ahead of your skis. I've just always been that way, which means when I think about, for example, a sales goal, or I think about hiring people. Right? If you talk to our team, they'll be like, well, looking at everything, maybe we need to hire one more person. When I mean get out ahead of our skis, I want to hire like 10 people, right? So, and it's like, it'll set people back and be like, we were talking about one person, you're talking about 10 people. Now that's kind of an extreme example, but in a lot of ways, I've just found over the years of me setting goals and thinking this way, I've learned that by setting, really the other way to say it is, when you set goals, have an abundant mindset.
Go swing for the fences. You're swinging for the fences. You're saying, we need 10. They're saying one.
Yeah.
But let's grow into 10.
Let's grow into 10.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Versus, this is very, I've learned, my definitive path, you can either have an abundant mindset and be thinking bigger, or a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset would be like, we need one person in 2024, we need to hire one person. And then the time comes, let's hire that one person. And we're like, well, let's maybe hire them part-time and at maybe an internship rate or something, right? Scarcity mindset versus, I really see our business grow. I believe our business is going to grow and thrive and prosper. I may be extreme thinking 10, but let's at least think of 2 or 3 people, right? So a balance. And that's what I mean by getting out ahead of your skis. It's really having an abundance mindset when you're setting your goals. You got to be realistic, right? You can't it's not like, gambling in Vegas. You can't gamble the whole thing on a roll of a dice, but you can certainly see a difference in your goal setting between an abundant mindset versus a scarcity mindset. And I've learned with an abundant mindset, which I still work on, it's still something I have to work on, but I have found that when you set those kind of bigger goals with abundant mindset, we've always 100% of the time, not just grow into them, but grow beyond them. And that's my experience.
I like that.
And I encourage anybody in business, when you're thinking about goals, really thinking about anything. If you're in business for yourself, I think you need to have an abundant mindset. If you take goal setting, really anything, with a scarcity mindset, you're going to put yourself into more of a reactionary, holding the reins back kind of mode. And especially in the early days of your business, where it needs your intense level of energy and focus and big thinking, that abundant mindset is key, and I think it's true with goal setting.
I think so too. It's funny you say that. So when two things just came to my mind is talking about this stuff, and that's why it's so great, this podcast, to talk about these things, is that one is that, one of the successes to one of my companies that we attribute to is that my partner and I, we always had what we call tunnel vision. And we still have tunnel vision. When I say tunnel vision, it means we got a customer that called in and said, hey, I'm going to spend $50,000 with your company today, Bobby. Okay, and they signed the paperwork. Great. A lot of companies, they'll be like, great, we got a $50,000 contract. Let's focus on that. No. You guys focus on that. I'm going to go get another one for $50,000 or $100,000. And let's see how many we can stack here, which would tie into you getting more people, which ties into growing the company and things like that. A lot of people in businesses, I will say, they say, oh, I got this one big job, I'm good, I'm solid. And they're so focused on it, and then they're in that job, say, for 6 months focusing on that job, or 3 months, or even a month. while they weren't out there trying to get another job to follow right behind it to
Yeah.
grow their business and keep things moving around. So I think that's great how you say abundancy and go that route. I think that's kind of all ties in there together. And the other thing is about the team and people and all, and you're saying hiring more people. I was just having this conversation this morning with one of my managers and all. Mm-hmm. We have one position that we're not too crazy about the team member that's in it and everything. And they're like, I just don't know why we can't find just the right person. I said, because you know what? We always end up putting an ad out for that position when the person that's in that position decides to quit or we have to fire them. We need to be looking for talent all the time. You need to be looking for that talent all the time. And you need to set that goal in your company at all times. If you find great talent out there, and I have found them in the craziest places. I mean, my number one HR, work wife, whatever you want to call, she came from a daycare. She was watching my kids in a daycare. I was talking to her and she said, so what do you used to do? She said, I used to work for this big accounting firm. She said, I pretty much could be a CPA. I just didn't take the CPA license.
Okay.
And I said, wow, really? I said, okay. So I just, on a whim, I said, I'm offering you a job. She's been with me. We just looked at it yesterday, 14 years now.
My goodness.
And she runs the whole entire place, and she is on it and all. But finding that talent and looking for people is hard to find really great people. But they're out there.
They are.
And they just need an opportunity to shine. And if you give them an opportunity to shine and you let them be part of the goal-setting process, you let them be part of the team, and they're not just a number sitting in a cubicle or whatever. They feel like they have value in their job. Man, when people love their jobs, you know as well as I do, they just shine.
They thrive.
I mean, they thrive. That's a great word. They thrive at what they do every day. And I have some really great ones that have, I've got somebody that's been with me 26 years.
Wow.
26 years for one. Another guy's been with us for 23 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're great. They do an awesome job. Everybody loves them, and they really climbed the ladder in the company, and they still do exactly what they were doing the day before, but they really do a fantastic job. So, I think everybody's got different levels of goals.
Right.
Everybody. Kalina, everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Even I think that's a great idea, though. I'm gonna steal that one from you on the getting everybody together and say, hey, let's write down some goals. And I'm sure some people, in your team's gonna be like, okay, I got that. Okay.
Yeah.
But like Kalina was saying before we started the podcast, not to just say, well, we're going to work on branding. Like, let's focus on it and let's set goals of how we're going to brand. Tangible. Let's see the results. If we're not seeing the results, let's change the program while you have the time to see what does work. And that's what I learned in the last year was the funny stuff. The funny stuff drives people to our company. They're not thinking about using trash right then and there. Let's be real. People don't talk about the trash service ever, but when you have a problem with your trash service or you're wanting to switch, who are you going to call? You're going to call the company that you have been thinking about all this time, laughing about. At least you're going to check us out. You may not use us, but you're going to at least check us out.
Definitely.
So I think those are great things every year.
Yeah, writing them down, that kind of blasé response. I get that from my kids. My kids have a phone in their hand 24/7, except when I'm talking to them about writing their goals down on a note on their phone. Somehow there's no phone in their hand anymore. They're just like, whatever. But writing goals down, it's really important, I think, because not only can you come back and reference it, there's a lot of things I write down and I keep running lists of things because you can come back and iterate on them. I don't ever delete or erase. If I'm going to modify something, I'll add it under it. So I can not only go back and reference, but I can see progressions of things. And same with goals. So
I tell you, when you talk about writing them down, it's funny because I have these books from when I started. And I still carry it. I have a book in my truck. I carry a hardback book. It's a notebook. And I write stuff in it. And people used to laugh at me all the time, bringing them into meetings and writing all this stuff. And now in my office, there's a collection of them that go way back. And I always thought it was kind of cool when you went. You ever been to an auction? After at an auction, if somebody like from the 1940s, and you find these old papers and it says, Coke 3 cents. can of oil 27 cents and
yeah.
everything. And now I just happened the other day, I was looking for something to open up and look back in there and everything, and it showed some pricing and some notes and some of my old goals
yeah.
were in there. And I thought, wow. And my team
Blown
laughs.
away,
They used to
probably.
laugh about it all the time. Now they're like, if they see that they call it my Bible. They're like, you left your Bible on your desk. The girls will text me, you left your Bible on the desk. Thank you. You can put your goals in those things. And then, like you're saying, years and years and years from now, something happens to you tomorrow, somebody can find those books and be like, man, did you see this? Look, back in 99, this is what they did and everything. And I spoke to a customer today that's been with me since 2000.
Wow.
She's 84 years old, and she's been with our company using our services since 2000. And it was really refreshing to kind of talk to somebody that I hadn't talked to in forever. I don't even remember them, but then they're like, oh, I remember when you used to come up to the house and do that and do this. It's like, wow, wow, you know, and the goals were, I wanted to get out of the truck. I wanted to build the business. I wanted to kind of, you know, progressively not have to be out there killing myself so much, and how to get a team and everything. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's all kind of relative.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. Well, unfortunately, Matt, I think we're out of time. So, but I think this has been a great. It goes very quick. I think this was a great episode, setting goals. Here we are in January 2025.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this, get out either like Matt does with pen and paper and a book. Open up an app, write down your goals, because it is key, critical to be able to reference those along the way and especially in the future. So, so that's it for today. Thank you again for joining us here on Startup to Success. Stay tuned, subscribe, share this with your friends, with coworkers, because we're going to be coming right back with another episode for you. So thanks again.